Papa 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 hum mama 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 papa
And I can't understand
papa hum mama papa hum mama.
Is he serious or is he playing? Say, ooh, mama, is all he's saying, mama, ooh.
Yes, good evening, compadres. Hope everybody's doing great. Today is Saturday, the 31st of December, New Year's Eve, and it's a little after 6:30 in the evening here in Boone, North Carolina. Want to wish everybody a very happy New Year and hope that all of you had an enjoyable Christmas, Hanukkah, and otherwise holiday season. I thought I'd use this opportunity to launch a podcast early coming up here in the next week or so, and we'll drop the first episodes. But I'd like to introduce the podcast and give you all a brief idea of what I'm trying to do. The name of the podcast is the Uncle Tom's Cabin Experience, and I chose that as the name largely because I feel that as time has gone on and the country seems to be becoming increasingly divided into various tribes, camps, whatever, that context seems to be disappearing oftentimes in the media and within each group, so context is everything. I have a younger brother. He and his wife live in Knoxville, Tennessee. They have 2 boys. To me, I am their Uncle Tom. And it would be entirely feasible for one of the young boys to go to, Mommy, Daddy, when can we go to Uncle Tom's cabin? We had so much fun there last time, along those lines. So that's completely innocent, has absolutely zero negative racial currents or whatever. It's 2 young boys asking a very innocent question in a loving way. But yes, another meaning could be meant to be derogatory or things along those lines. Depends on the context. An example, perhaps, and one I kind of find funny is in Thailand, in the Thai language. There's a word or a phrase called chakwao. Chakwao. Literally, if you were to look up in the equivalent of Webster's for Thai, it would say to fly a kite. Literally means to fly a kite. Get the string and flying a kite. But in another way, it is also slang for male masturbation. Flying a kite? Yeah. Context. So if you're at a bar with a couple of your friends, and George heads off to the bathroom and is gone for 10 minutes, gee, what's up with George? Well, he's either taking a crap or a chock-wow, right? Okay, chock-wow would be appropriate in that sort of a setting. If another case was a father's taking his 3 younger children to the park, what are you going to do? Oh, I'm taking the kids to the park and we're gonna chock-wow. So they're going to go to the park and masturbate? No, of course not. You would assume then it means fly a kite. Completely different meanings, same word or group of words, wildly different, meanings based on the context that they're used in. Same holds for female masturbation, by the way. Tokbet, literal Webster's-like definition is to go fishing. So you got the fish hook, right? Context. So, Susie, what were you doing in that canoe on the lake? Oh, I was tuck betting. I was fishing. Oh, okay. Oh, Susie, you've been in the bathroom for the last 15 minutes. We've been wondering where you are and what you were doing. Did you have to have a bowel movement or perhaps talk bet? There you go. So, if people want to get their panties in a twist over the use of that in the title of my name, I can't help that. The only thing I can try to do is try to provide information, anything along those lines, with context, because context oftentimes is everything. So now we kind of got that out of the way. I also have been kind of watching a lot of people's other podcasts, and there are a lot that I like. Like I really like Joe Rogan. I like Breaking Points with Crystal Ball and Sagar and Jetty when it comes to more like news and current events. I like Jimmy Dore. He's a pot-smoking comedian who's has a podcast out of his garage in Pasadena, California. Liberal lefty, but calls it as he sees it, oftentimes much to the dismay of Democrats and other liberals. Sagar and Crystal kind of come at it. Crystal kind of comes at it a bit from the left. Sagar's probably more conservative, but they find areas of agreement. And that's kind of also what I want to try to do, is show that, for as divided as a lot of us think we are, we're really not. Or it doesn't have to be. Maybe being secluded up, relatively secluded up in the mountains of North Carolina, we don't have the population, we don't have the urban, sort of issues, concerns, problems, benefits, whatever. The whole with the George Floyd and the subsequent BLM and riots, and I sat there and I'm like, what the hell's going on? I mean, up here everybody gets along. I go to a sports bar on Sundays to watch some football games, and I've got one of my better friends in Boone is mixed between Native American and Hispanic. Another guy's African American. His girlfriend is half African American and half Puerto Rican. Everybody gets along, and so I'm sitting there. How the hell's so much of the country seeming to burning shit to the ground, when for the most part everybody here, we all get along. Everybody's friendly, everybody's polite, everybody's respectful, tolerant. Another couple is a white dude, and his wife is a African American trans woman. So we all get along. Don't have she doesn't try to barrage me with pronoun requests or things like that, and all the other craziness that some of the extremes factions of, whether it's left, right, alphabet people, whatever. Can we all just kind of take a chill pill and try to figure out a way to get along? So the format's going to be different. We're going to be doing some kind of medium-term interviews. So not Joe Rogan 2.5, 3 hour, but whatever, in the 20 to 30, 45 minute range. Still get a much better idea than a two-minute interview, but not without the time investment of doing something 2.5, 3.5 hours. Be a little bit of travel adventure. I've traveled quite extensively throughout my life, both as an officer in the United States Navy years ago, as well as my civilian career in kind of the high-tech consumer electronics, PC, IT industries. A lot of time in Asia, a lot of time in Europe, a lot of times in Central and South America. Lived in Mexico for a little while. Lived in China for 2.5 years. Lived in Thailand for 2 years. And I'm kind of part-time. I just kind of split my time between here and Thailand, mostly here, but I try to spend 3-4 months a year in Thailand. So in any case, be a little bit of, maybe being a little bit of a tour guide. into some areas of the world that a lot of people are unfamiliar with, to kind of give you the not really the glamorous. I've never really been one for glamorous stuff, but to kind of, hey, how does your normal, average, everyday, family and people exist in foreign countries? So I've always found it fascinating and interesting. It's a big part of my life, and perhaps share a little bit of what I've learned along the way there. I could also see we're definitely gonna be doing some comedy sketches, goofy parody things. I do want it to be fun, funny. Hopefully it can be a little bit entertaining, informative, and with a bit of an element of surprise. Like, it's just not going to be a 2.5 hour interview, time after time after time, even though the people change, and it's, that's the variable there. But we're gonna goof around with the format and see what, maybe we end up landing on narrowing it down and just doing 2. I don't know. I'm new to this. It's a steep learning curve to learn all this equipment and software, video editing, and all that stuff. And my hope is that enough people will find it interesting and will help want to try to support our work here, so that we can, bring on a couple people and staff to, do some of the video editing and publishing and all that stuff. I can focus more on coming up with the ideas and doing the basic writing and the laying out of what the episodes are going to be, and leave the technical stuff to other people. Right now it's a one-man show, so it's been a little slow, but we're getting there. All right, amigos. Hope that is enough of an introduction for now. You can always make some updates along the way. Our first episode, which I'm going to drop and make available by the end of this coming week, will be a comedy parody, bit. And then I think our first interview, which actually did a couple months ago back in Thailand, was with a friend of mine who's lived in Thailand for 17 years. We met while I was living there as well. French Canadian from Montreal, an attorney, established a law firm here in Thailand, or not here in Thailand, but in Thailand. Just recently sold the practice, sold his home, and he's hitting the road. He's going to be kind of a wandering vagabond, trading in crypto and other sorts of things. So we got a chance to get together before he left. And one thing, aside from, I find him to be brilliant, funny, great sense of humor, an excellent cook, and a decent guy. That's the guy. That's the Sebastian Brousseau that I met and got to enjoy our, being in company with each other and other friends. So, but an earlier part of his life, and I would imagine that he wouldn't be upset that I'm mentioning this because it is publicly available information. He didn't want to talk about it in the interview, and generally doesn't want to talk about it at all, which I understand. But in his youth, might have been teens, I'm not sure exactly how old he was, maybe late teens, early 20s, but he killed his mother. Stabbed her 38, 39 times, and whatnot. As it turns out, he was not charged with murder. He was charged with manslaughter, convicted of manslaughter, went to prison. I'm not sure exactly how long, 2, 3, 4 years perhaps, and ends up with a pardon. So, I don't know all the details of, was the mother abusive? Did she try to attack him first? All of that stuff is unclear. What is clear, convicted of manslaughter, served time in prison, pardoned. So, obviously there were extenuating circumstances, to say the least. After he was released from prison, he went to law school and then applied and graduated from law school and applied, to take the bar, the Canadian bar exam. And the Canadian bar refused his application to sit for the bar exam for years. Ultimately, after he had left in his early 30s for China and then ultimately Thailand, I think it was like the equivalent of the Canadian Supreme Court ruled in his favor and said that the bar could not prevent him from sitting for the bar. He's been fully pardoned before he started law school. So he ended up taking the bar, passing the bar, and is a licensed attorney in Canada. So it's another thing. It's hard to judge a book by its cover, right? You never really, the people that you meet and hang out with, you never ever know their complete story. And for the most part, you never will. Only in this case, it just happened to be, criminal activity and criminal proceedings that are public knowledge. I mean, you can Google Sebastian Brousseau and you can see the news articles that I'm, essentially pulling these information from. But he's a great guy. We had a blast. We're still in contact. We Facebook message here and there. He was in Nepal for a little while, and he's heading to Vietnam. Probably spend some time back in Thailand, and then perhaps on to Fiji. Who knows? But Sebastian's just going to roll, and best wishes to him and for safe travels. All right, that'll do it for now. Welcome, everybody, and let's try to have some fun and see where this goes. Adios.